Everyone is growing, changing, and evolving, even you. From the student nurse to the baby nurse, the veteran nurse off the bedside and into entrepreneurship, you have arrived and you have evolved. So, welcome to the Evolve Nurse Podcast. I'm your host, Keish, and it's 2:43 in the morning. Okay? It's 2 in the morning. Oh, no. It's 2 in the morning and almost 3. And I have been called to record this episode. Don't really know where it's going to go, but I'm here to talk to you about relationships during nursing school. And I will be one of your many nursing besties. So you can always use me as a resource. There are various videos that I have that you can tap into. I'm also very responsive on social media. So if you want to follow me on the Instagram, you can follow me at the Evolve Nurse. If you have any questions, like extensive questions, email me at theevolvenurse@gmail.com. You can also follow me on YouTube. Get in the comment section, y'all, because sometimes we need somebody to talk to that is going through the same thing as us. So let's get into the episode. So I want to talk about friendships in nursing school. And of course, this isn't a very easy topic to talk about because, of course, nobody wants to lose a friend in nursing school, go through it with a friend in nursing school. Nobody wants the relationship to change. And I was reading a book, and I'm going to tell you what the book is because I had a friend recommend this book to me. So let me go over to it. And if y'all are listening to me on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on Google, does Google have a podcasting service? Wherever you are, if you want to see me talk about it, come on over to the YouTube channel. But let me go to my Audible. Let me go over to my Audible. Y'all, I have so many apps, I have to delete something. Over on my Audible, I listened to Relational Intelligence, and it talks about the differences between your relationships and how sometimes when things happen or when your life goes in a different direction, how to navigate relationship changes. So basically, maybe it's time for your best friend to now become an associate, and you don't necessarily want to make the step to do that, but you do recognize the change in your relationship. So let's talk about nursing school for me. So for me in nursing school, I want to say first year, hard as heck. And with that being said, if you have friends who are not in nursing, some of them, not some, nobody understands the trauma we go through in nursing school. Some of us, I'm not saying everyone goes through trauma in nursing school, but I keep it real here on the Evolve Nurse. Y'all know I do. Some of us experience extreme trauma during nursing school. Some of us were held back under false pretenses. Some of us were having hard times with testing. Some of us did not know how to navigate being the only. Some of us didn't know how to navigate the discrimination. Some of us didn't know how to navigate these things. So with our mental health being at stake in nursing school, which is something that nobody talks about, but we have a whole class for it. Nobody's talking about the mental strain that students are going through in nursing school, which is so important. We have to start talking about our feelings, our emotions, what we're going through. Because when you're going into nursing school, when you're looking for a nursing school, see if you can find somebody that goes to the nursing school that looks like you and ask them what their experience was like. Ask them what their experience was like. Because for me, I just hopped into nursing school, didn't know what I was getting myself into. And when I was talking to the upperclassmen, we had people who they didn't even want to be a nurse by the time they got out of nursing school. It had been so traumatic for them. Like they finished school just to tell their parents that they finished school. But after that, they were like either they were taking a long break or they decided they no longer wanted to be a nurse, which, is perfectly fine. So if that's you, if you're in your last semester and you're like, you know what, this ain't for me, then there are so many other things that you can do in the world. Even if you decide to continue on the nursing path, med surg is not your only stop, right? There's so many things that you can do as a nurse. You can go into primary care, you can go into aesthetics, you can do so many different things. You don't have to be pigeonholed into any one thing. And I think that with the nursing school, they oftentimes try to pigeonhole you into certain points, especially people who look like us, Black women specifically, are told to go to med surg. And like, that's a common thing. I know everybody has heard it, but it's not somewhere that you have to start. And if you are there, it's not somewhere that you have to finish if it's not where you want to be. But if it is where you want to be, then that's perfectly fine. It's nothing wrong with being on med surg. We always put that as a topic of conversation because it shows that they feel like that's the only level of intelligence that we have. But back on topic. As I told y'all, I don't know where this episode is going. I was just told something in my spirit said, hey, do the video. And I'm here to do the video because I know it's so many people struggling with, is my friend today? Are they not my friend today? It's something that's very hard, and it's something that's not really talked about because either you, one, in the friendship and y'all go your separate ways, or two, you don't want to actually acknowledge the change in the relationship. So both of y'all are struggling. Like, one of you already know that the relationship is over, but y'all don't want to address it. And so it's like this weird, excuse me, it's 3 a.m, y'all. I am tired. I only got, I want to say, 3 or 4 hours of sleep after my night shift last night. So bear with me as my voice goes through various changes as we're talking here. One of you already knows that the relationship is over. One of you probably has already tried to end the relationship and somebody is just holding on for dear life. It varies in what capacity you're in, because nursing school is hard. Nursing school is vigorous. If you showed up for your friend in a particular type of way, guess what? You're not going to be able to show up for them in that way anymore. So that dynamic changes. And for me in nursing school, I had like one of the biggest breakups in my life. For me, my friends are my friends to the end. Like, they mean a lot to me. Like, friendship means a lot to me because I don't let a lot of people into my life. You know what I'm saying? I don't let a lot of people into my life, and I seem very personable, but I am a introvert at heart. I love my alone time. I love being by myself. I recharge being by myself, but I also push myself into uncomfortable positions. So I'll go out, I'll mingle, I'll network, I'll show up to the events. But at the center, you might see me in the corner, like looking at people, because that's kind of sort of what I do. Okay. But I'm very approachable. I'm very personable, and my friends mean a lot to me. So even like in my relationship, like my romantic relationship, my partner knows how much my friends mean to me. So he'll be like, no, go out with your friends, do da 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 da. Because, now since we have a child, things are a little bit different. So when I was like, my relationship between my friends might change because I had a baby, it is true. Like, your relationships do change, but you have to learn how to navigate it. And as I said, my friends, I treat my friends like I treat my partner. Like, if I need to spend time with them, I try to spend time with them. I try to, a lot of us are in different parts of the world now, but we still try to show up for each other in a certain way. But life will change. Your life has changed. You're now finding other people who align with how you feel about things, because of course, you're in school. School is cool. School ain't really that cool right now. You're trying to figure it out. You just made a 50 on your exam, and now you can't hang out with your best friend because now you got to study, and now you have gone into an unhealthy mode of studying, right? We get into this mode of studying where, I made a 50 on my test. I cannot stop studying. I'm not even going to eat today. You didn't even eat today. Like, you're not prioritizing healthiness. You're trying to make it because you see nursing as your end all be all. And if y'all have been here before, you already know we talk about this in some of the episodes with some of the ladies that I've spoken to. Like, you go into this mode of, this is the end for me. If I made a 60 on this, I gotta make a 90 on that to be able to pass the class. And what do I have to make on midterm? And what do I have to make on my final in order to be able to pass the class? And so you go into this very unhealthy mode of, I am tunnel vision right now. I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't show up. I can't be here. I can't be there. But you also, y'all, I'm gonna be adjusting these the whole time. But you also have shifted what the relationship looks like for your friend in a very quick manner, right? So can you really blame them for feeling away? Now you can't go out with them. Now you can't party with them. Now you can't show up for them. Now you can't do the job. Now you can't do the business. Now you can't do this. Now you're not showing up as much as you used to because things have changed. And it happens in an instant. And it doesn't give people the wherewithal, or it doesn't give them the time to really adjust to the change. Because one week you good, you going out, you showing up, you're being there for them, etc. And the next week, since you got this 50 on your test, you done left it. It's like, look, I need to scale back. I can't show up. And of course, you got to recognize that these are relationships that are like either post high school, or you're going into secondary, or you like getting a different degree. For me, I was getting a different degree. I had already gone through high school, gone through college for 4 years, and then now I'm getting a second degree. And so for me now, reflecting on the friendship breakup that I did have during nursing school, like it was different because I showed up in a way in which my friends were able to count on me at any given time. And now you can't count on me like that. You know what I'm saying? And so I think it's very hard for people to understand where you're coming from when you say, hey, I can't do this right now, but after I get outside of these nursing exams that are kicking my tail, that I'm making low on, and now I gotta hurry up and recalibrate myself to be able to get through this. I think that it's very important that you explain it to your people, and then sometimes they might understand, sometimes they might not, and you have to be okay with that. Through relational intelligence, it tells you, you can't dictate how somebody is going to feel about it. You can't. All you can do is do your part. And so for me during that time, my part was being able to communicate effectively, like, hey, I am struggling in school, girl. I am struggling in school. Like, people who aren't in nursing, they don't understand how bad it is. Like, how bad it is. I already got a degree, right? I already took my GRE. I'm already having a backup plan of, if this does not work, I'm going to go teach science. I'm going to go teach science at somebody's high school. I'm going to be a science teacher. I'm going to teach biology somewhere. At that point, y'all, it was an end all be all for me, but I had a backup plan, like, whenever you don't do good on that first test, that second test, you not doing good in all your classes, you're trying to figure out life. I had lived in an apartment that kind of sort of took my long-term memory away, because I was living in black mold. And it was extensive, like to the point where, and I'm about to start itching now, to the point where I had amenorrhea, like my period wasn't coming on. I had nerve spasms in my feet to the point where I couldn't really drive. And luckily I had a friend who allowed me to stay with him, but it was a commute from where I lived to where I went to school. So I had like an hour commute of that daily, but I had to get out of that apartment. Y'all, it was black mold literally everywhere. So from struggling with having black mold in my apartment, taking away a part of my memory, and I still kind of sort of struggle with that today. Cause y'all, oh gosh, do not cry. Do not cry. You got the things on your eyes. Let it go, Keisha. I still struggle with that today, honestly, where I have to work really hard, like really, really hard to remember certain material, right? Like, it's not like when I was able to recall things like this. I'm not able to do that anymore since then, but if I'm being honest, like that really set a precedent for how hard I went in nursing school, because I had to find different study techniques for my brain, because now my brain is different. Now my brain isn't a sponge like it used to be. Now it's kind of sort of like spongy, but in reality, there are some parts that like aren't letting information in. It's just sitting on top of my brain and I'm not able to let it penetrate. So now I have to do different things to be able to memorize stuff. So I'm looking up research papers about how to remember things, color coding while taking notes or taking notes during class, and how to do it effectively, and what fruits and vegetables will increase my ability to be able to remember things. And I'm eating chocolate, dark chocolate, because it helps with memory. And then I'm eating blueberries as an antioxidant. It helps with memory. I'm also making sure that I'm up walking and talking to myself, because it helps with memory. Or chewing gum while you're studying and then chewing gum during the test, because it also helps with memory. Like, I was struggling through a lot of things and then explaining that to a friend, and ultimately losing that friendship, and it stifling me in a certain way that I didn't want to admit until now. I didn't want to admit that that relationship breakup, it pushed me to learn how to navigate relationships a little bit better, but it wasn't the best, because it was hard. It was definitely hard. And now I'm just now being able to reflect on the relationship and be honest with myself about it, because for a long time I was still trying to keep that relationship. I didn't want to let the relationship go. I didn't want to not be that person's friend. I always wanted to be able to show up for them. But when do you show up for you? Right? When do you show up for you and you be honest about where the relationship is? So, really and truly, if you're here, you're struggling through that. You have gone through a different thing. Like, you're trying to figure out life right now, and it's not easy. Friendship breakups are the worst breakups in the world. I don't care what nobody say, right? A man gonna come and a man gonna go. But you think your friendships are forever. And that's not always the case. Y'all, I told y'all, bear with me. Cause baby, it's 3:02. It's 3:02. It's 3:02. So please bear with me. Yeah, you think your friendships are gonna last forever. So I think that's why I think we don't have as much faith in men as we do in our friends. And that's why, and I'm not gonna say everybody, because I got a lot of faith in my men. But I feel like even with your friendships, like you you and your friends, like, you're not enmeshed with one another, but you show up for one another. You're there for them. You care about them. I care about my friends just like I care about my partner. Like, I care about their well-being just like I care about my partner's well-being. So if anything happens, like, I try to show up. I try to be there. So when friendships break up, that's why it's so freaking hard. It's hard because your friendships are relationships. They're not romantic relationships, but they are a relationship, and there's something that you care about. There are people that you cherish, and you value their opinion. You value how they feel about you. Sometimes when they say something that you don't really care for, it hit a little different, because they're your friends. You care about them. You want the relationship to flourish. But I heard somebody say something, I cannot remember who. What's her name? What's her name? Angie from Why Did I Get Married? Tasha Smith said, what's Tasha Smith? She said, if you want friends, how do you show up as a friend to want a friend? Because you have to show up for them in a particular type of way to say that, hey, I want friends. You can't be in the house all day long saying that you want friends, unless you're on the Facebook and you want your virtual friends. But how are you showing up for your friends? You want them to show up for you in a particular type of way. You want them to be available to you when you want them to be available to you. But how are you reciprocating that? Are you not showing up for them in the way that you could be showing up for them? Is life getting a little bit too hard for you? Have you communicated that? It's a lot of different layers. And a lot of times people don't want to put the work into the friendship to actually get past the thing. right? They don't want to talk about the thing. They don't want to move past the thing. The thing is just there. The thing is a black cloud. Okay? The thing is a black cloud. And I would like to say that that's okay. It's 305. It's 305. So the thing is there and it's lingering and nobody's talking about it. And in all actuality, it needs to be talked about. So how are you going to show up in your friendships? If you're in nursing school, how are you going to show up in your friendships? Are you going to make it to the birthday dinners? Are you going to stop the unhealthy cycle of over studying, not eating? You got to go to dinner, right? You have to go to dinner. I still showed up to my friends' dinners. I still showed up to their birthdays. I still showed up to the trips. I still showed up for that. It was just certain things that I was not able to do that took a little bit more of my time that I did not understand. I didn't know that that would take a lot of my time because it was growing so fast. And yeah, because during that time we had a podcast. And so it was a lot of time going into that, a lot of time. And so during nursing school, you can't have um 4 or 5 hours of lay time. Like you have to be able to cycle through being able to study, being able to do whatever, doing your outside jobs or whatever, doing your side jobs. Y'all gotta remember, and I done told y'all before I be having 15 jobs, okay? I done told y'all before, in order to live, I had to have 15 jobs. So I'm doing Lyft, I'm doing Uber, I'm working at Kohl's, I'm doing this podcast, I'm doing a whole lot of things. And in reality, I did not, even with doing my podcast here, working in school, doing events, I have to be like, Keisha, it's okay to breathe. Because then I didn't know how to breathe. I was just on go. Like I was, in the words, a little scrappy. I was TTG. I was trained to go. I didn't know how to stop. I could not stop. Like in reality, I had to make what I was doing work. And I didn't really have that much financial help. My fiance, he definitely helped me with my rent throughout college. But in reality, I was not really able to live on what I was making. So I had to make some things shake. And in reality, some things took a back seat to y'all, it's 307. Bear with me, because who told me to do this episode this late at night? So so yeah, some things take a back seat to what you have going on in the foreground. Like, it's not that you want to stop the relationship. It's not that. But it is a thing where during nursing school, you got to be realistic about your time. You have to be realistic about the time that you have to study, the time that you have to eat. You got to prioritize your health. You got to do all the things. You have to prioritize your friends in a way. You got to prioritize your relationship in a way. You got to prioritize you in a way. And why did I come last? Even now, like coming last. And it's not okay. It's not okay that you put yourself last. It's not okay that you put everyone else's feelings above yours. It's important that you remember that you are a human and you only have 24 hours in a day. And in those 24 hours in a day, you got to get a lot of studying done. You got to get a lot of reading done. I just think it's very, very, very important that you remember who you are. And you also remember that you care about your friendships. Just because a friendship ends, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that they're a bad person. You don't necessarily have to end on bad terms. And you also can be very honest with where the relationship is going. If the relationship is going from a friendship to an associate, be honest about that. Like, hey, I don't think that we are as close as we used to be. Because you feel it, like y'all stop sharing certain information with each other, or one of you stops sharing certain information with the other person. And the other person really doesn't notice because they're so busy and wrapped up into nursing school that they're not really seeing the change in the relationship. So then when they're then on breaks, or on the days where they're able to like reach back out, or they're able to get back to you, they're talking to you as if it's normal. Like, hey girl, blah 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 blah. And you like, I haven't talked to you in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 a year. And you're coming to me like it's the same. And one person is definitely clocking the fact that you're not talking to them. And the other person probably isn't really noticing that they're not talking to you, because you have, somebody else said this and I heard this week, you have made yourself very available. But they said it in a romantic relationship sense, where you're making yourself available to these men, right? And these men don't feel like they have to do anything to get you, to get your attention. Like you're making yourself very available to them. And that's the same thing in friendships, in non-romantic relationships, platonic relationships. It's the same thing where, say for instance, your friend loves the low maintenance friend, right? The friend who doesn't require a lot, the friend who, they don't have to talk to. And I think that that term is out of context as well. I think when people say they don't want to be in low maintenance relationships, and I've heard this before, when people say that, they often don't want to put in work into a friendship anyway. So they love a low maintenance friendship where it's just an associate, really. Y'all are associates, y'all talk every now and then, you kiki every now and then, and that's fine. But it's not a friendship, right? I think when people say a low maintenance friend, that for me, how I show up for my friends is, if we don't talk for months at a time, but we here with it. We here with it. And we both are like the person that is, our texting ain't the best. But we show up for each other. I don't figure that that's a low maintenance friendship. I think that that's a friendship that has real life interferences, real life obstacles. And we call, we check up on each other, we move on. And then we might talk to each other in the next 3 months or the next 6 months. But when we speak to each other, it's with love, kindness. We genuinely want to know, hey, how you doing? How your mental state at? Like, where are you at? Do I need to show up for you? Do we need to plan a date? Do we need to get together? If I'm in the city, do we need to get together? Do I need to drive to Georgia? Do you need to come to Florida? Like, what are we going to do? If your mental state is off, we need to make sure that we checking in with each other. Hey, how you doing? Where you at? When you know that something is going on with your friend, hey, it's not always normal that you have to check on that friend a lot, but it's very, very, you have to understand where the friend is, right? Where they're at in their lives. So while in nursing school it's a whole different thing. I told you I ain't know where this episode going. I don't know where it's going. We just here with it. We here with it. We here with it. Okay. You don't know where your relationship is. Like, you don't know what you're going to require from your friends at different times in your life, right? You don't know that. So for me, and I only can speak for myself, and I'm gonna give y'all a brief of a story time, right? So my dad passed away last year. Last year? My dad passed away last year. And I had a friend who continuously talked about low maintenance friendships and how she loved low maintenance friendships. And at the time, I didn't recognize that I was such a low maintenance friend. Like, you don't have to do a lot in friendship with me, in relationship with me. Like, I'm cool with it. Because, when you're the strong friend, you show up in a particular way that you are the shoulder for people to lean on. And you're also like their emotional dumping ground, right? And don't get me wrong, I'm all for you dump, we dump, you dump, we dump, we go to therapy. Like, sometimes you need your friend to be able to say, hey, do you have the emotional capacity to accept what I'm about to say? And then if they can't, then, they can't. And you have to be okay with that. But you also need to make sure you have a therapist, because sometimes your friends ain't able to, get with that. But so my dad passed away, and right after he passed away, I got in therapy. Like, I threw myself, like, I was like, yeah, I am here. I'm here. I'm in therapy. We are here with it. And I threw myself in therapy because I was angry. I was angry with how things were going. I was angry that he passed away. I was angry. Okay. And I had a particular friend who I was there for all the time, who I picked up the phone for all the time, who like, I thought would be there when my dad passed. And when my dad passed, she was not there. And of course, like I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, like we talk to each other. She calls me and she dumps and then she leaves. And I'm like, I'm already holding on to a lot and you still dumping on me. And I didn't recognize where I was in the relationship, or I didn't recognize how I was in a relationship, to where when you're the strong friend, even when you go through something, they are looking at it like she'll get through it. And at that time, y'all, I was not getting through it. I was not getting through it. Like, I needed my friends, and my therapist, she was like, Keisha, you got to take inventory of your friendships. You need to be able to lean on certain people now because you're going through a lot. And so I talked to some of my friends and I was like, right now, how my life is, I feel odd coming to my friends and telling them what I'm going through, because I never do that. Like, I might occasionally, but since pregnancy and then right after I'm getting out of my postpartum, like I'm leaning out of my postpartum, my daddy decides to die. Who does that? Well, how dare you? That's how I feel. And like the emotional state, like the hormones coming down, like I'm trickling down, like I'm coming back into feeling good about life. And then my dad decides to pass away. He didn't decide to pass away, but that's how my brain was wiring it, y'all. It was like, how could you leave me here? We in the ghettos of the world, in the ghettos of earth. How dare you leave me here in the ghettos of earth? And in all honesty, like I had always shown up for my friends in a particular way, especially before getting pregnant. Like, when you get pregnant, things change a little bit, but I still was showing up. I still was being there. I was still there. Okay. I was still there. So then you get into like, y'all, I'm thinking back on the relationship a little bit, and I'm like, it was definitely a lopsided relationship. So when I hear people say things like, yeah, I love low maintenance friends, it's not really that you love a low maintenance friend. It's that you like having friends that you have a lopsided relationship for. They give to you. You don't have to give a lot. So it is what it is. So I finally came to the conclusion that, that relationship wasn't really going anywhere. And it's sad because you love your friends. Like, I love my friends. But I had to recognize that whenever I would even say like something of how I felt, she'll be like, oh, I gotta go. And I'm like, girl, I just sat here and listened to you talk about your job for an hour, helped you with things for an hour. And now that I'm saying like, yeah, I'm not feeling myself, like, oh girl, I gotta go. And I'm like, is this really the At first, I did not understand it. At first, I didn't understand it. It was just like, okay, this kind of normal because it's what we do anyway. Because I'm the strong friend. I don't normally have anything to divulge. If we being honest, I don't have a lot. I didn't have a lot to divulge. I may have had a lot to divulge, but I wasn't divulging it because I'm the strong friend, right? The strong friend don't tell nobody how they feel, or they don't disrupt people's lives. The strong friend is not a disruptor of people's lives. They'll be the what is it called, the vessel for other people to dump into, for other people to have like vent to, be there for. They'll be that person, but a lot of times they don't require people to be there for them. And I was on the phone with one of my friends and I was like, yeah, my relationships are changing and I don't feel good asking my friends for help. Like, I did not feel good asking my friends to be there a little bit more, like to show up a little bit more, that I'm no longer the friend that y'all used to know. Like, I'm no longer the Keisha that you used to know. I'm no longer that person that you used to know. Like, I am struggling and I need my friends and I might have to lean on you a little bit more. And like my cousin, she always shows up for me. My cousins, they always show up for me. Like, they always show up for me. But I think like my friendships, like it took a hit. Like one of my friends was like, girl, I was like, it doesn't feel right. She was like, girl, please stop. Like, it is okay. Like, you do not have to continue being that strong friend. And she was like, and you are not a burden on us. Like, I'm here for you. And I had to hear that. And when I heard that, it made me understand what the other relationship was. And I had to be real about myself. And I could not keep putting myself out there like, oh, we're friends. No, I mean, we could have, dropped down into associates, but in reality, I think we did kind of drop down into associates. We were associates who spoke occasionally, but of course, me being me, you try to hold on to the relationship. And that's not what I should have done. I should have allowed it to, go to where it was. Or relational intelligence talks about how you are the healer. You are the person who they need to elevate to the next place in their life. And so they'll utilize you to get there. So whether that's needing somebody to show them a clear picture of who they are, being a mirror for somebody to make changes in their lives, doing the things, showing people sometimes you got to show people how to be good people, because sometimes people don't know they were raised a certain way that didn't allow them to have space to be kind sometimes, and so you might be that change agent in their lives. And sometimes you are just the healer, but you're trying to make it a friendship. And understanding that now. Because I remember talking to one of my old friends, and she was like, sometimes people are only in your life to receive what they need to receive, and then they go. And you have to be okay with that, because you were put in their lives for a particular reason at a particular time to make a change. But then you also have to be okay with putting your feelings first and being real about where a relationship is. Y'all, I can take these off now. Woo, 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 woo. It's been a good 30 minutes. And then you got to be real about where you are in life. And honestly, in relationships and friendships, and I'm really talking about friendships here, because nursing school is hard as it is. And you want your friendships to last through nursing school. And you're seeing the change. You're seeing the change. You don't want it to change. You got to be honest. Maybe during nursing school, y'all only are associates. Maybe y'all can pick up friendship after nursing school. Because you can't show up in a friendship capacity sometimes while you're in nursing school. You got to be very, very intentional on showing up for your friends when you're in nursing school. Like I said, didn't miss a birthday for my friends, didn't miss like watching. If we needed to watch our shows, we was watching our shows together. Try not to miss those things. Because you got to form a very healthy habit of studying. Because like I said, you go into this trauma mode where you're like, I need help. And I need it now. I need to make a 100. How you gonna pull off this 100 and you've been making 50, you've been making 60? How you gonna change your study habits? How you gonna do that? How? How? How are you gonna make it out of nursing school? Y'all, when I tell you, I had I had one friendship breakup during nursing school. Because again, y'all, I don't let people in. I remember my friends used to be like, Keisha, you actually allowed somebody to be your friend today? I'm like, yeah, girl, we're friends, we're cool, I like her, she likes me, she waited for me. She waited for me. Yeah, I always talk to one of my friends. She's on is she on episode 1 or 2? One of my good friends. And she was like, girl, I was waiting for you and you just walked to your car. And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, I was waiting for you. Like, we had talked during class and I knew that I wanted to be your friend. And you just walked to your car like you left me. I was like, girl, I don't always know when people want to be my friend. Like, I don't know. I think that because I'm such an introvert, like, and I'm extroverted as well. In certain settings, I put myself out there a little bit more to like, hey, how are you doing, girl? I like your such and such. I like your such and such, so that I can develop communication skills, because they have been hard for me growing up. So now, like, I talk to me, girl, I like your X, Y, and Z. And I have to push myself to do it too. Like, I don't know if y'all have to do this, but it's in my head. It's in my head. My head is saying, girl, you like her outfit. And then in my head, I'm like, tell her you like her outfit. And my mouth ain't saying nothing because I'm like, oh, her outfit is cute. But my brain is saying, tell her. tell her you like her outfit. And sometimes my fiance is saying it too. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I like her hair. And I say it out loud to him. He was like, tell her. Tell her you like her hair. Tell her you like her outfit. Tell her she smell good. Like, girl, what do you have on today? But yeah, she was like, I was waiting for you. I was like, girl, I didn't know, because I don't always think that people want to be my friend. So I'm very protective over who I let in my life, how I let them in my life. But I also am like, Keisha, there are so many people in the world who want to be there for you. And this is what you have to realize too. You have to realize there are so many people in the world. And while you want to keep the relationships, if it becomes toxic, if it starts to make you feel a certain type of way, you have to be honest with yourself where your faults were in the relationship, but you also have to reflect on what they have done. And that's a hard thing to do as a friend, because you never want to admit that your friend isn't your friend. That's the hardest thing to admit, is that maybe they aren't my friend. And I think that in that particular relationship, in the one that my friendship breakup during nursing school, I should have took it. I should have been okay with it, been okay with the breakup, because that person told me they would rather do business with me than to be my friend. So when you hear certain stuff like that, it's like, oh, but I think I had a very anxious attachment style at the time, to where it was like, but I would rather have the friendship than the business, if we're being honest. And it just wasn't what that person wanted. And I had to be honest about that. And I'm just now getting to the point where I am very honest about the relationship, and reflecting on it and looking back and understanding where we were today. And it's one of those things where you have to be 100% honest with yourself and where you went wrong, and not being completely honest with yourself. Um, and also being okay with the change. You have to be okay with the change in order for you to not ruminate on the relationship, in order for you to not be like, well, what could I have done better? Sometimes it's nothing else that you can do better. Sometimes it's time for the relationship to cease. And you have to sometimes be okay with that. And it's very, very hard. I'm not going to say that it's an easy task. It's not an easy task. It's very hard to be honest with yourself about where a relationship is. Sometimes it takes years. Sometimes it takes months. I think the longer that you're in the friendship, or the longer that you're in the friendship, the more that you're holding on to the time of the relationship. You like, this been my friend since we was knee high to grasshoppers. Where is this friendship going? Sometimes you don't want to let that friendship drop into an associate category. Sometimes y'all just in limbo, and nobody's saying anything about the real, like being honest about it. Because a lot of us don't know how to communicate effectively. And I can say that in that particular relationship, I wasn't able to. I didn't feel safe saying how I felt. Especially when somebody tell you they don't want to be your friend for real. Like, how do you bounce back into safe mode? Like, for my other friends, I feel very, very free to say how I feel. Or they feel very safe to say how they feel. I think that for that relationship, it was just a little bit different, because you already kind of sort of told me I ain't your cup of tea. And I'm running like, can I? Like, are we okay? And you have to be okay with letting the relationship go. Sometimes you can bounce back. I've seen friends bounce back. For instance, Poor Minds. They had a podcast. They fell out in the beginning, but they still showed up for one another. And then if I'm not mistaken, they went to therapy. Like, they went to therapy on their own, and I think they went to therapy together. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. But they did the work. And if you want to make a relationship work, make it work. You have to do the work, because it's not easy. Your relationship with your friends are similar to your relationship with your partner. Like, you do the work. We are so quick to give up on our friendships instead of working on them. And don't get me wrong, since my dad passed, there are relationships that I have had to let go. Like, I've had to be real with myself and say, it's no real working on this relationship, because y'all are in two different places in your life, and that's okay. And in that particular not in the other one, in the particular relationship after my dad passed away, I felt like a burden to that person. I felt like a burden to her. I felt like I could not, I didn't have a friend there, like present friend. And I was still showing up as a friend to that person after my dad passed away. Even with everything I had going on, I was still showing up as a friend to that person while they were deeming people as, low maintenance friends. And when you do that, you minimize the people that are on the other side. Like I said, I might not talk to my friends 50 years, right? We might not talk to each other, or we might text here and there. We making sure that each other is okay. When you are okay with having very low maintenance friends, because let's be honest, the friend that likes low maintenance friends, they are not a low maintenance friend. They are a high maintenance friend because they are looking to people to be there for them in a particular way, show up for them in a particular way, even though it might be days where they don't want to talk to nobody. They are a high maintenance friend because they want you to show up for them in a particular way, but they don't want to show up for you in the same manner. CCC, you got to recognize, okay? Sometimes you got to recognize that people are human, period. When you have friends that you love, you care for, and you're looking to them to show up a certain way. If they stop showing up the way that they normally show up for you today, and you're a you like low maintenance friends, so you like the unbalanced friendship of I ain't gotta be there for them, I ain't gotta show up for them, I ain't really gotta call them like that, I ain't gotta check on them in their mental, I ain't got all I gotta do is when I call them, hey, this is what I'm going through today. This is what I'm going through at work today. This is what I'm da 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 today. It's a unbalanced relationship because a lot of times you don't even know anything about the other friend. You don't know anything about them because they low maintenance. They ain't telling you nothing. You ain't got time to hear what they got to say. Because to you, what low maintenance friendship is an unbalanced friendship in which you have the power because you don't want to do the work. And sometimes you have to be okay with letting friendships go. So, like I said, if you made it to this episode, right? If you made it to this episode, it's time to be honest with yourself. I think that you should read Relational Intelligence. Let me show y'all the book. It is Relational Intelligence. I finished this book by Darius Daniels. I'm gonna show y'all this. And for those of y'all who are listening on the Apple, I heard it on the iPod. In the words of Nene Leaks. If you listen on the iPod, on Apple Podcasts, it's Darius Daniels, Darius Daniels, Daniels, Relational Intelligence, the people skills you need for the life of purpose you want. Sometimes you just can't stay in the relationship, y'all. Sometimes the relationship in nursing school ends, and like I said, you can pick that thing on up after you get out of school. Y'all all have y'all careers, y'all all meet up. But you also gotta be honest about where you are in nursing school. If you in nursing school and your anxiety is high and you like, oh my God, you need to be honest with your friends about that. And then you give them the leeway to say, I can't be friends with you anymore. Or, yeah, girl, we're gonna work on this thing. We'll make sure that we show up for each other. It's just those things. Like, I tell you no lie, like if my friend told me that, hey, I'm graduating today, I got this going on, I got that going on, I got an invite for you, I'm going to try to show up there, baby and all. Hey, you need to take off. You need to call the people, take off, put the PTO in for me, let me know. Like, his daddy is about to watch him because I'm about to go show up for my friends because they show up for me. They show up for me, and I love that for myself. Y'all, as a matter of fact, I need to go book an Airbnb. because my cousin's birthday coming and I need to be there. I need to be there. Because, man, when people show up for you, and it's all love, y'all. When I tell you, you will find people. You will find your people. I promise you, you'll find your people. But you got to put yourself out there to find your people. You know, I have found associates and new friends and stuff that show up for me in a way that I did not. They show me how to be a better friend, if I'm being honest. Like, a lot of the people in my life, they show me how to be a better friend. They show me how to show up better. They show me, y'all, I'm really about to cry here. Y'all can click off. But yes, take your friendships seriously. Be honest with them. Learn how to communicate. Sometimes it's no communication needed. Like, it's basically, hey, this is what it is, and you have to sever the ties. Because one thing about it is we make ourselves more available than we should. We make ourselves available socially on the Instagrams, the Facebook, the TikToks. We make ourselves available in so many different ways that it's hard to leave certain relationships. It's hard to leave certain friendships because you're still interacting on different socials. So you have to learn and figure out how to navigate the newness of the relationship, like the newness that there may not be a relationship. Like, it's just, and honestly, like, friendship breakups are hard. Regardless, they are going to be hard. In nursing school, not in nursing school. That's why I said I don't know where this episode is going. But I know that if you, for instance, if you are having a hard time with navigating letting the friendship go or sticking it out and doing the work, showing up, being there for your friends. Even with being in nursing school, it's really hard. Now, I done seen some people do it. I done seen some people, they at the club. In the club, we all fam. They all at the club. They all on the scene. They shots. I wasn't that person. I couldn't balance the friendship. And these people, they have friends on friends on friends. They have a huge friend group. And I could not balance having a huge friend group and nursing school. And like, it's like they at the club. And I'm like, they get to go party. Because they just, their lives just was a little bit different than mine. While, of course, like I said earlier, losing my little memory. Then I work at 15 jobs. I'm working 30 jobs. I'm working, when you're doing a lot and you don't put in that time to nourish, you have to, baby. Look, I went to the conference and the thing was nourish. You have to nourish yourself. You got to nourish your friendships, especially if you want it. If you want the friendship, nourish the friendship. Like, do the work. Like I said, talk about the thing that is about to make y'all break up. Talk about it. Talk about it before it get to the point to where you can't come back from it. Because once you start ignoring the elephant in the room, when it comes to years later, the person who was wronged, they still remember the elephant. They still remember the elephant. And they might be looking for it to happen again. And for the person who is holding on to that, it's up to you to not act like everything is okay. Because everything may not be okay. Sometimes you need to be like, hey, what we went through in 1995, it hurt my feelings. You never apologized for that. What we went through in 200 BC, I feel like you wronged me and we need to talk about it. But people are so, let me see how I can say it. People are so judgmental in the friendship relationships that they feel like you should be okay with saying it right then. And some people are not okay with saying it right then because if we keeping it 100, how many of y'all actually tell your friend when they hurt your feelings? How many of y'all? Because a lot of y'all won't do it. A lot of y'all will take it on the chin and then y'all fake move on. And y'all don't talk about the thing that hurt your feelings. How you felt offended. how you didn't like how they talked about somebody, how you didn't like how they treated somebody, how you realized that, oh, shoot, if they treat you like that, how they gonna treat me? Some of y'all, and then honestly, a lot of those people that say, well, you should have told me, they feel offended because they're like, well, I thought that we were friends enough to where you feel comfortable enough to talk to me and you didn't say it then. So why are you bringing it up now? Because now it feels like a pile on. And you have to be honest about the relationships. You have to be honest about where you are. I was definitely a person who was like, hold on, that didn't seem right to me. And I tell my friends that, and then they get a little attitude, and then like you don't feel comfortable telling them no more. Like you just don't feel comfortable telling them no more. Or you don't feel safe telling them because you already know that it's gonna sever the ties of the relationship. So you just keep it to yourself. And now you holding on to it for years and years and years, Shamina. From what is called what I was about to say, Love After Lockup. See, that's why it's 3:45. It's 3:45, and I need to be off here. But like Shamina, like holding on to that friendship or the associateness of it, holding on to that for dear life, and not wanting to let it go, and not wanting to let go of the memories. Like, keep your memories, keep the good memories, the bad memories, learn from the mistakes, learn from choosing bad friends, because sometimes the friends are bad friends. Like, sometimes these friends don't know how to be friends to you. And you have to be honest about that too. And you got to be honest about where you are in life. Are you being a good friend? Are you being available to your friend? And I'll say it again, like showing up. Baby, showed up. Showed up for my friends. Even in nursing school, showed up for my friends. And if I could not show up, guess what I did? Hey girl. Hey Barbara. This is hey girl, I got a test coming up and I'm trying real hard to try to make it to your event. I'm gonna try to make it to your event. I might have to leave early. I might have to come early. I'll let you know what it looked like. Now, if they scheduled it out for me, it's on my schedule to be there. If it's a long time, it's on my schedule to be there. I'm going to be there. Now, if it's short notice, I'm probably not going to be able to make it because the way in which my life is set up is crazy. It's really crazy. So yes, y'all, it's an hour. I've been on here for an hour. It's 3:45. It's time for me to go. I hope y'all have a great day. I hope that if you have friendships that is hard navigating, read relational intelligence. Read relational intelligence. Also remember that it might not be either of your faults, right? It might not be either of your faults. Sometimes people just fall out of relationships. Similar to romantic relationships. Sometimes y'all just not seeing it for each other that much anymore. Y'all don't have anything in common anymore. And that just might be what it is. You got to be honest with that. And so, in being honest, y'all go follow me on the Instagram, the YouTube, the TikTok, and the Evolved Nurse. Again, I hope that, excuse me, it's 3:46. I need to go lay down. Put my bonnet back on my head. Go to sleep. Because I had my bonnet on my head ready for bed, okay? Y'all saw I had my little eye patches on. Had my bonnet on my head, ready for bed. Did my skincare. Brushed my little teeth. And then something said make the video. Something said make the video. And so I'm here making a video, y'all. I might not even edit this. I might just let it go on out. Let it go on out. Y'all have a good one. I did not know where this episode was going. Have no idea where it's going, if I'm being honest. Where it went, I don't know. I don't know half of the stuff I said to y'all. All I know is that it's about friendships in nursing school. Like I wrote right here. If we being 100%. If we being 100% honest. That's what it says. That's what I'm sticking to. And y'all, that's what we talked about. Friendships in nursing school. Friendships overall. Friendships in life. Y'all, it's hard out here. It's hard. It's really hard to find a solid. No, it really ain't. It ain't. Let's be honest. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. We just make it a little hard. We make it a little hard. Like my friend said, I wanted to be your friend. Tell the person that you want to be their friend. Like, I like the way you move. I like who you are as a person. I want to be your friend. Let's set up some dates. Let's go out. Let's go have food. Let's go have fun. Like, I think it's very beneficial to have women in your life who you care about, who you want to be around. Even if it's not just women, if it's a friendship between men and women, you got to know how to show up for your friends. What do your friends need from you? Y'all be knowing that y'all friends need y'all in a particular way. But y'all, I'm going. I'm going to sleep. I'm going to sleep. I'm actually going to upload this in the morning. But y'all have a good one. Bye.